Beautiful. And it's a good thing that we went for Pezz versus Probe, as it seems like, not to name any names here, Chase is looking to riot. Well, let's be fair, Chase will riot no matter what.
It's accurate. It's accurate.
And we finally got a game light. Speaking.
Hold on. You know what you gotta do. This is first AU versus AU match.
Oh. Do I? Alright, well, we're coming in here over in the AU v AU matchup, PvP, Pro versus Pezz. Here we have it then, coming to you in Simulacrum. Your whore, Fiddly DLE, boy to see 2 for 3. You with me, buddy? Yeah, I bet you are. Coming in here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, the Australia-looking base, which is fitting, as that is where I am from, as you can tell, as well as this player is also from there. We are, oh yes, and LE, if I forgot, stands for Lassie Incorporated. It is a incorporation that produces yogurt drinks and whatnot. Here, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, all the way in the bottom right from Australia, where you can tell I am from. The purple Protoss, gonna be representing Mindfreak SC. He's facing his nemesis on the opposite end. Can he get the one-up on him? It's Pezz.
That was awful. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Simulacrum LE, we have the Australian Protoss representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe.
You see, I thought that the pirate voice would be too obvious for Simulacrum.
God damn it, yeah. So we do have a proxy Stargates coming down from Pezz. Surprisingly, Probe is not doing a proxy robo, which is typically what we see.
Is this even allowed? Like, is this part? I'm pretty sure it's part of the rules. If your opponent proxy Stargates, you have to proxy robo, and vice versa.
I think this is literally the first time I've ever seen a proxy Stargate versus not a proxy, and I don't know what to say. Anything could happen. This is madness. This isn't even StarCraft.
There's uncharted territory that we're viewing right now. This probe looks to be in. Yep, it will in fact scout that Stargate, and we'll also see that an Oracle's building. Probe already has the Stalker. Should be producing more. Coming, setting up back at home.
Yeah, he immediately scouts the proxy. He knows an Oracle is on the way, and now he should have plenty for defense. He even catches the Probe that was trying to hide in the main base of Probe. So, not a good start from Pezz.
Not at all.
God, is he gonna get a kill as well? Oh God.
Well, if you start careful and bring up the unit's last tab, he did get a kill.
Yeah.
Wow, well. Yeah, so we got kills. The Stalker does not look long for this world.
Yeah, nice. Does pick off a single Stalker with these adepts. So Pezz able to trade a little bit here. This is kind of where his attention was as the pylon was going down in the main. And the Oracle is also trying to get some damage done as well.
But you know what? This is probably the better scenario here for Probe, as Pezz, he was looking to use that Oracle on the other side of the map, get some harass, get a bit of a multi-prong going with this adept. The fact that Probe went all the way with his Stalker, pulled the Oracle away, that's gonna... Probe is feeling pretty safe now.
Oh yeah, definitely. To be fair, I do think that Pezz, because he knows that it got scattered, like I don't think he knows that he's not gonna find much damage done. Yeah. Meanwhile, Probe, he has an Oracle of his own heading across the map, and I don't know if Pezz is going to be ready for this.
Apparently he is, as a, that scouting observer, I want to say, or something on the map that was there that saw it, and that was also a stalker already.
Yeah. Nicely done there by Pezz. Yeah, they were scatting adepts out on the map.
Meanwhile, this, they managed to get depowered, so nicely done by Probe, and, you know, PvP light.
So, I want to say...
not much is going on.
Well, I mean, you know, obviously we're experts in this matchup. I would definitely say that Pezz is definitely looking in a better position, as he already has his Nexus underway. Like, it's already built, he's already mining from it, and he's getting a couple more worker kills here. Yeah,
this is something that you cannot underestimate. It does seem like, you know, just 5 worker kills, but you gotta remember, in a mirror matchup, every worker counts. You don't have a catch-up mechanic unless your opponent forgets that they also have that mechanic.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when it comes to mirror matchups, getting worker kills is just that much more important because, you know, theoretically, you and your opponent are equal with what you have available to you. So any kind of advantage is just that much more important. Meanwhile, we do have Probe moving out with these stalkers. It will get spotted by Pezz. Oh, and Pezz does have the faster blink.
That indeed he does. Probe not quite done in that regard yet. Even more probes are starting to get taken out on the blue side. Stasis Ward even gets a little whiff there.
Yeah, Stasis Ward only gets 1 stalker.
Probe, he might get pretty do or die time now, and he actually forces to recall. Pezz does.
Wow,
so
that's
okay. That's actually really good for Pezz here. Plus 5 probes on top of that. We were saying like that.
I imagine that Probe, I guess his gateways were on cooldown. He didn't feel confident in warping in, so he forced the recall, got all those worker kills as well. Like Pezz, he's playing this out pretty beautifully, especially since the opening proxy was scouted immediately.
But I am still a little bit worried here. Like, we have seen this happen before. Pezz had next to a perfect early game.
Probe's army split up.
Just defended really, really well. Yep, here comes the blink back here. I think Pezz should have the numbers, so maybe target firing might help Probe here, but even then, that's not going to be enough. Even whiffs the blink as well. Probe, he is looking rough.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been taking trades anywhere near as well as Pezz, but we'll see, because it's kind of surprising. Pezz, he's been dealing all of this worker damage, but despite that, they're equal on workers. Like, Probe has been on top of his macro. He's been spending a lot of his chrono boosts on his nexuses, and we'll see if that comes into play, as Pezz, he does have a bigger army.
Yeah, indeed he does. I will say that it's happened before where Pezz had the perfect early game, but Probe just defended really well. But this time, Probe, he just doesn't have the means to do so. He has no shield batteries. He's being forced to pull the boys. I think Pezz is about to be one up in this best of 3 series light. GG. And there we have it. Pezz coming in with the flipping his nemesis, so to speak.
Yeah, Pezz coming in strong with the PvP, and it just kind of came down to the amount of damage that he was able to get done with his adepts. Just constant, more and more workers were getting killed, and that just allowed him to tech up and get an immortal, get a couple of sentries, like bolster his main army. So then when the main fight happened, Probe, all he had were stalkers. Like, he didn't have the economy to get much else, right? He was just trying to make more probes.
That's really what it comes down to. By the end, he matched Pezz's probe count, but when you're playing from behind, you're going to be making sacrifices somewhere, and in this case, it was in tech and army.
Beautifully said. And, you know, Pezz, he's looking really good, and I did want to say that Pezz, he did get 2-0'd by Miyamika on Saturday. Today, he comes back strong. He 2-0's Miyamika instead himself, and now he's already up 1 game against Probe. Like, I keep saying this about Pezz, especially recently. Like, he has been looking better and better over the course of 2020. Over these past 4 or 5 months, like, he has been improving to the point where he hasn't gotten there yet, but he is close to being like a champion of some of these online events, like whether it's a GP or an ESL.
Like you had to add that adage at the end there, a champion of these online events.
Well, I mean, that's all we have, right? We have nothing but online events.
All we have, yeah. It's actually all we have until at least October, and even then. But yeah, yes, we saw your joke, Kuro, and we just didn't have the opportunity to bring it up. Pezz vs. Probe is a PvP in multiple ways.
Oh god. God damn it, Kuro.
Remember the names. And speaking of names, here we are over spawning in on Eternal Empire LE, EELE, as we all do know. My name is Brian, and EELE stands for every excited, laughing elephant. That's the name of a something or another. Here, in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning in the top right-hand corner of the map, it is, in fact, going to be our blue Protoss player, all the way from the land that I am from, Melbourne, question mark? He is representing Legacy Esports. He is my old mate, Sean, otherwise known as Probe.
And in the bottom left-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE, we have the other Protoss player who is also on Legacy Esports, who could also be from Melbourne, I'm not too sure. The Australian Protoss. It is Pezz.
He's on Mind Freak.
Oh yeah, he is on Mind Freak, yo.
That freaks my mind.
Why did I think he was on Legacy Esports? I have no idea.
You might be
My
thinking
bad.
No, there's like another Protoss player who's on Legacy Esports.
There is a player who's on Legacy Esports who isn't Protoss but also starts with a PE, and that's Peppy. Zorg player, and I used to always get him mixed up with Pezz. I thought that I had stopped that, but yeah, it's
apparently not.
Apparently not.
By the way, I should not do the Superwalk voice when my nose is stuffed up. I'm now realizing.
Save it for the finals. Save it for the finals.
Yep.
It's all good. It's all good. But what I did want to mention before things get too heated, as we do have a couple of proxy pylons out on the map. Actually, Probe, he's throwing everything down. He's got the kitchen sink. He's got a Stargate and a robo.
This early. Alrighty then. Let's find out what Probe has in store for us here.
Oh, he scouts it. He gets in. Pezz, the Probe got in.
He does in fact get in, but Probe, he's fine with a scout that's this late. So Pezz, he got in, he saw the Stargate, he saw the Phoenix being made, and he also saw the Robo. Despite that, he decides to throw down a natural, which could be a mistake. He might be thinking, what is a Phoenix going to do versus natural, right? But
that's very true.
It's not just going to be a Phoenix that's coming out here.
Yeah, we do have an Immortal on the way as well. This Phoenix shouldn't get too much done. Oh, the Stalkers, they moved out. Okay, it's all good. Stay clam.
Take a breath, Light. Stay clam. We are on Zen. No, wait, we're not on Zen.
Not on Zen at all. No one plays on that map. But yeah, Pezz, he's looking pretty secure so far. I do like that he threw a robo of his own down. And again, he's getting a much faster Nexus. So with that scouting information, I do kind of want to give him a slight edge at the moment. That will depend though if Probe decides to move out at some point with his Immortal.
Indeed it will. For now, Probe, he's just looking content to get a couple of Probe's workers here and there. Pezz's work is here and there. As you do see that Pezz going for a bit more of a orthodox kind of tech progression, coming out with that Twilight Council.
And again, we'll see what Probe is able to get done with these Phoenixes. So far, a couple of workers have been sniped, and these Phoenixes can be invaluable in a big PvP fight, just because they can CC those high-tech units. Even if Pezz got a couple of Immortals, like, in a big fight, they could all be picked up, Disruptors as well. Like, Phoenixes can just do so much.
And it absolutely can. It's almost funny in a way. You think you have this unit, haha, what if I neutralize it?
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to waste DPS as Probe to try and focus the Phoenixes down, which means a bunch of free damage happens to your army. It's it can be very, yeah, it can be rough to say the least. As Pezz, we've seen this from him before.
Yeah,
Waves.
we have. Yeah, that is in fact what Pezz is gonna go for. We have seen in the past that Glaives do work really well, even on robo-based armies, as you get a good shade in, you get a surround, which body blocks a lot of these units, you know, makes sure that it can't kite. And, you know, Glaives, they shoot pretty fast. Even though they don't have a bonus against most robo units. They, it's almost a Marine style, right? Low damage, but in high numbers and very fast shooting.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked about it before, how when a Protoss player goes for this Mass Adept style and shades on top of an Immortal-based army, it just works so well because the Immortals deal so little damage to the Adepts. It isn't necessarily about how much damage the Adepts do, but just how
much they can soak up. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. You want to keep your Stalkers alive in this sort of scenario, especially if you're Pezz facing Phoenixes left and right. But Probe is not fully committed to that. He knows he's just going to get a couple of Phoenixes. That's all he needs and all he wants for not just crowd control, but also if he can pick up his War Prism, he's not quite going to do it.
Yeah, Pezz has to be so careful with that War Prism. If it gets sniped, then that's the end of this push. So he does have to babysit it a little bit, make sure that he has his Stalkers in position, as it looks like, here it comes, the Adept push is coming.
That indeed it is. Meanwhile, another round being warped in here. Probe, he doesn't seem to really know where the Warp Prism is, but that doesn't really need to matter as he is getting ready to defend. Assistant Deputy Acting President Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. We know him, or well, he does so. Phoenixes are back in business. Meanwhile, these Archons actually soaking up a lot of damage for Pezz.
Yeah, nicely done. And the force fields are also doing wonders for Probe as well, forcing the army back. But there are just so many Adepts here, and they're all looking to shade.
They can't quite get into Probe's base here, but the shade does commit. Kill manages to cancel that pylon, but very quick force field on top of that ramp as well. The Phoenixes are in, and they are looking at crowd control, but Pezz is fighting in an area with so many shield batteries and so many cannons. He might have just thrown away his army here.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but all of Pezz's Adepts were trying to focus down the Immortal, but 3 shield batteries were keeping it alive, and sure, they're out of energy, but they kept the Immortal alive.
And that's the important bit. They kept the Immortal alive, and the rest of the units were able to shave off the Stalker count, take out the rest of Pezz's army, and now, it was exactly what happened last week, Light. Pezz set up a brilliant push, but Probe, He's
a shield, man.
He's a shield. Just defends it.
Yeah, the deputy director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, if you look at Probe's natural, like, it's so hard to push into that. There's just so many shield batteries, so many cannons, like.
But okay, that's not quite Nartosis pylon, but it does power a lot of those buildings.
Yeah, it's just so difficult to push into that as a Protoss player, and this could get even worse.
Really.
Yeah. With the new patch changes, as they will be providing a buff to shield batteries.
That they will. Wait, how does that help pushes?
Oh, it'll make it even worse trying to push into something like this. This is what I meant.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
it'll help Probe, not really Pezz.
Yeah. As interestingly, I don't know how I feel about this coming out from Pezz.
A Colossus?
Yeah, in a PvP?
We have seen in the past players like Parting, once they got maybe 4 or 5 Colossus, they just use it pretty much as pretty much as siege tanks almost, or some kind of siege unit. They have a very long range. They whittle down the health of the Protoss army, and then your gateway units, like your adepts, your stalkers, they come in and they just one-shot what's left. That being said, though, this is not a lot of time that Probe is giving Pezz. I do not think that he's going to have 5 Colossus out by the time Probe is able to come in here.
Yeah, and again, his shields of his own, Pezz, that isn't looking anywhere near as strong as Probe's. I think he only has 1 shield battery, if that. So in comparison, Probe, his army is just looking so much stronger.
That, it very much so is. This is not quite a critical mass that you want if you are Pezz, but he's trying to make the most out of what he's got. He's trying to make use of positioning here. Does manage to chase Probe away for the time being, utilizing the position on from the natural to the third. But now Probe has sort of realized, I have all I need to go into you.
Yeah, and what's important is that Probe knows that he's basically containing Pezz. He's keeping Pezz at home, so Probe is free to expand as he's doing. He's free to tech up. He's getting a robotics facility, a robotics bay, as more workers from Pezz are going down.
Good old Phoenixes, the multi-prong, the triple prong even. So many adepts do manage to get warped in. The warp prism was taken out, but a bit too late there. Meanwhile,
we gonna see a base trade?
I think we are. That's probably the best that Pezz could really hope for. But even then, Probe has recall.
Yeah, that's right. Probe, he can recall whenever he wishes, and Pezz is on the complete other side of the map. I feel like turning back home now would be a mistake. I feel like he probably has to commit to this push.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost so many workers. He has to do counter damage.
Yeah.
And now I do not think that he's gonna be able to do it. But maybe the shield batteries have regenerated. But this is a lot of army coming out from Pezz.
Yeah, you should be able to take care of everything here. It will come down to whether or not oh my god, the destructive shot! Oh god!
Does get a juicy connection. This Colossus already at half health. Meanwhile, the Shade does go into the main. And we do see a quick warp in from Probe. Keeping his workers alive. Very nicely done. And Pezz, he is cleaning out a mineral line, but even that's not going to be enough. Another juicy connect. Colossus is still alive, but that is not the unit that Pezz really needs right now.
Yeah, and another disruptor pops out from Probe as well. Oh god.
Oh,
these disruptor shots.
Yeah, are we actually going to see a base trade? This is Seether versus Probe all over again. Neither player really wants to commit. GG is called though by Pezz. And Probe gonna be taking it sideways 1-1. We do in fact have a ace match. An ace match. Well,
that
ace. We do. Yeah, there's no other way around it. It's not like our, which is pronounced our.
Yeah, we have an ace match.
Yeah,
we do. But yeah, well played there by Probe. I think a lot of it came down to Pezz. He shaded in and he saw what Probe had in his natural, but he still committed to the push anyway. And I do feel like that was probably the mistake that he made. Because similarly, we had Probe after that initial fight. We had Probe on Pezz's side of the map, continuing to shade, but he never committed. He just saw the army and he was just containing there. He was just posturing outside of Pezz's natural, which is definitely something that Pezz could have done to Probe if he thought that the defenses were too much. He didn't have to commit, and he could have maybe gotten a third behind it and tried to contain Probe instead of pushing in.
At the final push?
Nah, in the first push.
Yeah, in the first push, that would have been.
Yeah, the first push.
In the first push, he could have just contained, well, it's hard to contain in a PvP, I will give you that, but it's still better than pushing into 4 shield batteries and 2 cannons.
Yeah, that was just... The defensive structures there were just insane for Probe. Yeah, GG. Getting into game number 3.
The ace match. And speaking of game number 3, the ace match here. We have it spawning in Nightshade, otherwise known as Belladonna. LE. LE, of course, standing for Literate Exclusive, literate exclusive. That's how you make something exclusive. It's by having very strict whatchamacallits, tests. You know? Yeah, I bet you know. In the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning in the top left-hand corner of the map, it is gonna be a purple Protoss all the way from the land down under, and I do not mean Tasmania. It is representing Mindfreak SC. He had a really good first game and a really good early game in the second game. Now he's gonna need to combine it all to win here in the ace match and take out his nemesis. It is Pezz, the dispenser himself.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Nightshade LE, we have the Australian Protoss, probably the undisputed best player in Australia at the moment. He is representing Legacy Esports. He is Probe.
Best at the moment? Yes, but if we're talking about the greatest Australian player, I'm a fan of Legionnaire, you know?
But you're gonna whip out the Moonglade card right there. Which is, you can definitely make a stronger argument for Moonglade than Legionnaire.
He did make it to the global finals.
He did. He did. But yeah, so a bit of a fun fact as these two probes do duke it out here in Nightshade.
That's fun.
So I was actually speaking to Probe about participating in online tournaments, about his results, and he was talking about how what he really likes about Grand Platypus Open, actually specifically, is that he finds it really valuable as practice against other players in the region. Specifically, he was specifically referring to Miyamika. But in general, he like that's kind of like his go-to. Like, okay, this is where I'm in a tournament setting and I face off against the other C region players. And that's something that Probe kind of lacks, and that can also be a reason as to why you see Pezz take on like the C Zergs and Probe maybe not have as much experience with their quirky playstyles. And we see Probe sometimes fall to players like Demi or Miyamika.
That's why he... Oh, got it. I was thinking that's why he signed up for GPO finally, because Miyamika reverse swept him. Not reverse swept him, but like, you know, swept him in a reverse.
He 3-0'd him. Is that...
Exactly. No, but the week before, Probe 3-0'd Miyamika is what I meant. So it's not a reverse sweep. It's just a sweep, but in reverse.
Yeah, the sweeps happened. Sweeps were there. The floor is clean.
They're called brooms.
Yeah. Both
I
players
use a
were
vacuum
involved.
myself.
Meanwhile, we do have some interesting openers here by these two Protoss players. We haven't really seen early Forge play this series.
Yeah, Probe's going for early game aggression. Whether he goes for a Soul Train or... No, I think a Soul Train would be too expensive. I think it would just be mostly Zealot based. Whatever the composition is, he is looking to go for it. Unless he goes for... No, even if you... if you're going for a push, you would get weapons. Armor helps in a push, but you probably want +1 weapons there. So far, not getting it, getting an Immortal, which is something what you want. That's a Robo Bay.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit worried for Pezz, as Pezz, he hasn't scouted the Forge, he hasn't scouted the Robo Bay, and he is going for Stargate.
Double Stargate even, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how useful this is going to be if the push is coming a lot sooner. I mean, well, maybe if he has enough Phoenixes, maybe
I think I actually kind of like it. I actually kind of like it. Phoenixes, Void Rays, if, Probe goes for a very Stalker Immortal heavy army, anything would really help, provided he has the resources.
Yeah.
And that is a bit of a big if. drop happening here. We'll be able to take out the pylon, and Probe not really equipped to fight this at the moment. Plus, Pezz gets a good view on that Robo Bay.
That he does, and we'll see. Like Pezz, he does have a lot of potential with this army composition with these Phoenixes. Like if he does something like catch the Warp Prism like out of position and he snipes the Warp Prism, like that'll be big. If he's able to CC and snipe off a couple of key units, then that'd be huge as well, especially against disruptors. Like CCing the disruptors as they get their shots off is just so amazing in PvP. It's like it can be so clutch if you pull it off. Like it's so good.
It really is here. I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised at a Probe, as he does like to go for disruptors on Nightshade in general. I kind of thought that disruptor drops were something he did more in PvT though.
Yeah, I don't know if he's necessarily going for disruptor drops, but
It's
I think just
okay, maybe not. Okay, maybe not. I will concede there, but I don't know. Maybe he was playing for it, but now that he sees Phoenixes, oh yeah, no. You know, hot pickups coming here. No, the shield batteries are good.
Shield batteries are good. One Phoenix goes. Oh god.
Like so, even elucidates his own Phoenix right on top of it. Like yeah, you just lost Phoenix.
Yeah, he lost 2 there in that engagement. Pezz didn't trade too well there at all. He was trying to focus down a couple of the units, but the shield batteries were just too good and kept everything alive for Probe. So Pezz not trading as efficiently, but
I feel like I feel like that is the story of the series. Like shield batteries are good.
Yeah, pretty good. Oh god, pick up!
And apparently I'm allergic to that, as I didn't have to sneeze. Quick hot pickup coming out from Probe. No, from Pezz. As we do have a little bit of a worker race here.
Yeah, both players kind of getting some worker harassment done with shades, and kind of even Probe is still ahead in the worker count as more and more shades are actually coming out for him. Oh, some of them get caught though by the Phoenixes.
Yep, and it's, you know, gives him the time to evacuate the probes or get some adepts ready. So I think the time might have around ended. The age of trying to get worker kills might have just about ended here, as both players are looking to ramp up. Pezz coming in with a bit of a scout as well as a sort of pickup force with these, so many Phoenixes, man.
It's so valuable to get those units. He was able to pick off a sentry there. If he's able to get another couple of sentries, like that's so huge, those energy-based units. But Probe, he is transitioning. He does have Archons to protect his army, which of course can't be picked up. They're thick boys.
They're actually 2 thick boys in one.
That they are. At the same time, again, workers going down for both players. Oh my god, the Archons is so careful.
They're just about trading there, yeah. Archons not quite managing to kill the Phoenixes just yet, but they have been softened up. A lot of them are in the orange, and they will be just that much weaker come the big engagement, which Probe is looking to facilitate.
Yeah, he's deciding to push out now with 3 Archons as well as a couple of Disruptors. I'm not too sure if he just has 1 in the War Prism. Yeah, I think that's all he has. Has to be careful though, make sure it doesn't get picked off. He's diving for it!
He is in fact diving for it, but the Disruptor does rush to unload quick enough. So Probe, he's gonna have to make a decision now. Go straight for the base or head back home and wait for my next push. And I kind of like the decision that Probe made here, as not only is he waiting for another Warp Prism, he's also waiting on that +2 weapons.
Yeah, he acknowledges that, okay, I've lost my Warp Prism. That's my reinforcement base. My reinforcement's basically gone. I'm not going to push this. I'm not going to try my luck. I'm just going to back off and I'm going to expand behind this. So really nice decision making there by Probe. But Pezz, you know, he really nicely played there. He stops the push and he's already ahead when it comes to his economy. He already has his third up and running.
Indeed he does. And it's just about anyone's game at this moment. Pezz still, once again, sharking around with these Phoenixes. One of them is so low. Literally 1 hit. This Archon a little bit late to the punch here. And so many probes are starting to fall
the
for
entire
our
minute line, basically.
Player. Essentially, yeah. 14 workers. Probe, he's going straight for it now. He knows that is not damage that I can really recoup anytime.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go in and get the counter damage done. And Pezz is already set up. He already has a disruptor of his own.
I feel like this is all about like the disruptor shots and whether or not Pezz can neutralize the disruptor of Probe. We'll see. The first shot does
All right,
get
a little bit whiffed.
Yeah,
and
it
there's
doesn't
no
get
warp
much.
prism here yet for Probe. It's still a ways off. I do like the position for Probe here. He is sort of keeping his disruptor back. Nice connection there. But Pezz, he's about to it's about to come off cooldown, but it's also isolated. GG is called. Phone, Bixby. Sometimes one great connection is all you need there, Light.
I'm in shock right now.
One end.
Pezz, he had that.
Did he though?
He was very, it looked like he was very flustered because it took him a long time to actually utilize his phoenixes in that last engagement. Like, Probe pounced, and then you could see the phoenixes like flying around. Like, it looked like Pezz was trying to find something to focus on, or even the disruptor, and the disruptor hit went off. It was too late, and it wasn't until the writing was on the wall when Pezz started lifting units.
Yeah, it definitely was. I still kind of think that if that disruptor shot went awry, as they do say, is that how it's pronounced? Awry, or is it just awry? Or I like awry better. I like awry better. Yeah, awry. That's if that went awry, I still think Probe might have been favored there because Probe he invested heavily, so much on his Archons. He had a really good number of them, and he had +2. Pezz, on the other hand, he invested a lot on his Phoenixes as well as Adepts, I do believe, or maybe they were Chargelets. Either way, units that melt to Archons. So that disruptor hit really brought it all the way home for Probe, but yeah, Pezz could have still turned it around there, but the other thing that I think that was really that word I'm thinking of, disastrous, let's just say for the time being for Pezz, was he kind of isolated his disruptor after a while. So we did see it get swarmed by Chargelets towards the end.
Yeah, definitely, and just GG, well played. It's hard to it's just hard to see because
speculate.
Well, Pezz, he had so many Phoenixes, and as you were saying, that's kind of where he invested his money, as opposed to Probe, who went for upgrades. And those Phoenixes, just in the last engagement, they just didn't really do anything at all. You could definitely argue that it was because of the Archons, because he was trying to find something to focus on.
Yeah, something to lift, but also not let them be sitting ducks for the Archons.
Yeah, and in the end, they just weren't really a part of the fight. So much army supply for Pezz was kind of dead weight in a way. At least after they'd killed the Warp Prism.
Yeah, definitely. Our next match coming up here, we have a couple options available. We do now have Probe going into the semifinals to face up against Azure. Azure being chappy there in the quarterfinals, and over in the other side of the bracket, it seems like Seether might still be waiting for an opponent.
Yeah, I'm having troubles loading up the bracket, so I can't see I can't see whether like who's Demi meant to be facing.
It does not say quite yet. Demi is now in the semifinals, quarterfinals. Round of 16 and quarterfinals have not been updated.